Hey friends, I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to try to solo, more or less solo. I have a mercenary with a shaman. It's my level 62 shaman named Siffelfrumpf, and I'm going to try to do Drunder, which is more like level 65-ish, but I should be able to manage as long as my tank doesn't die. And here we go, we just come up to this stone and click on it. Once you're in the zone, you want to go up these steps, and we're going to be looking for death knights. It looks like there's people already here running around killing stuff. And yes, I'm that guy that sees a dead body and I'm curious to see if there's anything on it. So these guys are in Everquest, so I think this would be a good place to sort of test the waters. Let's try to pull him with a mallow, and then I'll give him a slow. And my merc is active. All right, he's been slowed. And oh hey, where's my? I don't have my mount on me for some reason. I think I know what happened. I think I might have accidentally put my dang mount in the bank, so that's embarrassing. So I might have to see if there's a way to get back to my bank and get another mount. Otherwise I'm gonna run out of mana really quickly. But so far I'm doing pretty good here. This guy is going down, and it wasn't all that hard. You know, I got my pet attacking, and I think smashed war grubs. I think those are for something. I don't know what. I'm gonna try to use the AA ability that lets you summon a banker, and maybe I can get my mount back. I really didn't think about that. I was kind of doing some updating for this guy because they were still using some really outdated, sad gear. I hadn't played them in a little bit. Banker, here we go. It was right in front of my face. I'm sure everybody else saw it, and for some reason it took me a second. So let's call up the banker, because I am certain that I had a hedgerow leaf on this character, and I think it's just here in the bank somewhere. There it is. All right, I feel like such a fool. Grab that. See, I don't know if I'm gonna need some of these potions. That's a really old potion. So yeah, see, some of this stuff was on my character, and it's stuff from like many levels ago. Well, I guess I'll take that one. And I just, wow, like I said, I had some very crappy, outdated gear. I'm just gonna make sure I didn't not leaving anything else behind that could potentially be kind of important. I'd say having my mount is important. Oh, can only be used outdoors. I didn't think this was considered in indoor zone, but I guess it is. I could swear that I've had mounts here before, but I could be wrong, you know. All right, so we're just gonna have to go mountless. So I kind of feel like I wasted my summon banker, but I think we get a new it refreshes daily, like once a day or something. I don't know. Let's see, what's the time on this? 14 hours. So it's not even a full day before I can use it again, so that's fine. I gotta remember to slow this guy. I could always just make myself a nice convenient hotkey. I don't even need to really dot this guy. He is going down pretty quick, and these weapons that they drop are useless. Living coal. What's living coal for? Is that worth anything, guys? I don't know, so I guess I'll just loot it. Alright, I want to make sure I pull with mallow, and so 5 and 6. So that should be good. So let's try it on this guy, see if it works like I intend it to. There we go. Am I gonna cast slow? I guess not. I don't know. I think linking my spells to that my auto attack trigger is a bad idea, so I'm gonna remove that, and instead I'm gonna make another hotkey. I think I'm gonna move this javelin button, and I'm just gonna make a button to cast my spells. How many assist keys do I need? Okay, I'm gonna repurpose one of these old assist keys for something else. I'll just call this one debuff and make it yellow, because I don't know, I like yellow more. It stands out better. I'm gonna sit down, get some mana back while I get this key ready. So 5, and I think for some reason, this just has the longest cast time. Cast 5. It says 3.8, and I put the wrong thing. /pause 40. Let's try 49, and then cast 5. For some reason, that command looks wrong to me. And maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. And I'll find out soon enough. 6. Alright, so hopefully that works. We'll try it on this fella here. Fella. Like, it's like, hey fella. Like I'm not about to try to kill him. Alright, I don't know if that happened because I was stunned, but it failed just now to cast. Oh no. Oh jeez. Come on. Stop hitting me, fella. I just start doing it for everything. Stop calling everybody fella. Alright, let's try a longer pause, I guess. We'll try 55 pause. Give my tank here a little bit of a heal over time. We'll give him some disease dot because that one uses the least amount of mana. And maybe I'll get behind him and poke him in the butt a little bit with my spear too. Ooh, my pet could use a little healing as well. So heal over time for everybody, I guess. Maybe I should hit the group with some regeneration because I get a regen. Should I do replenishment or just do the group regen? I think I might just do the group one. It's just going to be so much more convenient. Oh right, I have access to poison. We may as well use it. Might get lucky and proc a couple of times. And then I'm gonna cast the regen spell on everybody. Okay, we handled that really, really well. I'm proud of me. So let's try casting the debuff again. Let's send the pet in first to sort of make sure he's back there and not up here punching me with a giant hammer. And we'll give him a disease dot. And that should be enough. And then we'll just slowly let him rot. So I'm doing this video for 2 reasons. One, it's sort of going to be to show everybody how I would play a shaman. And I also think a shaman is a really good class for a beginner. I don't know if I mentioned that in my video where I was talking about, you know, what good classes are for beginners. But a shaman is pretty good. I was able to learn it fairly quickly. A lot of the spells are fairly straightforward. And it translates pretty well as far as scaling goes. There's not a whole lot of difference in gameplay from like level 1 to like level 65 where because I'm right now at 62, right? A lot of it is you want to slow and debuff your whatever you're fighting. And that's sort of your job as a shaman, because shaman have the strongest debuffs in the game. They have the strongest slow spell in the game. And that slow is so powerful that it's pretty much like having an enchanter mezzing the ads, because it cripples them that bad that you can fight potentially 2 or 3 targets at a time if you can manage to get all of them slowed and nobody's gonna die, as long as maybe the cleric is on the ball, you know. Of course there are exceptions. If you're in like 85 plus zones, I don't know if that's gonna be the same way, because those things hit really hard. I don't know if you've been following our live streams, but we've been having a good amount of deaths when we do those, and moments like this where it just resisted my slow spell and I have to recast it, those kind of suck. So there it is, it finally landed. And unfortunately there's a gladiator coming, so I'm gonna have to debuff her as well. Alright, and I'm going to try to explain some of the spells that I'm using as I play and say what they do, in case you're new or you've been watching my videos and you've been considering playing but maybe you haven't yet. And again, some of these spells will scale. For example, Mallow. Let me show you what when you first start getting Mallow is. It's a resistance debuff, and you get something called Insidious Fever at 17, but that's not the same as the malaise that you get at 18. So I'm gonna memorize that one just to show you a little bit of what it does. If you're curious about what a spell does and you want to find out, you can right click and hold on one of the spell gems and it will pop a little window that gives you a nice description. So I'm going to sit here and meditate for a second while I go over this. And it says it's for level 18. It uses skill alteration, which I would suggest a shaman use alteration for their specialization, although some of their slows use conjuration, so I guess you could go either way. But alteration also impacts your heals. The description of this spell is decreases your target's resistance to cold, fire, magic, and poison. So that means that if you cast this first, then you have a better chance of having your other spells land. They are less likely to be resisted. So I tend to use Mallow a lot, or, you know, that whole line of spells a lot. And here's a Death Knight. We need 5 of these to complete our task. We're doing the dailies. And unfortunately, this guy resisted the first time. There he is. Now he's slowed. And I don't know, maybe I should be casting poison on these guys instead. I don't know where that... Oh, there it is. The tortured soul is up there. That's good. That means he's not punching me in the back of the head. Us frogs have some squishy heads. But disease usually seems to have less mana cost. So here, let's take a look at this. It uses 579 mana, whereas the poison always uses so much more mana. I don't understand why. I'm guessing because it does so much more damage, possibly. So you see here, it uses 860. And the damage, okay, well, the damage with the poison is almost double. So maybe it's going to be more efficient to use the poison. I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers. I just have, you know, my personal ideas, my personal preferences, and what I think is a good idea or a bad idea. So if you have any suggestions you'd like to make after watching this video, I welcome them. I really do. And I'd love to hear your opinion and your take on this stuff. One thing I kind of wish that Shaman had was like a damage shield that we could give to our pets. I think that would be pretty cool. I forget about that. I think the Shaman's heal over time spell kind of snares whoever they're trying to heal. As you see here, Torpor, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about my pronunciation of this spell. It says your target in a state of torpor healing 300 points every 6 seconds, but vastly decreases their movement speed and attack rate. So I guess it's a bad idea to use the heal over time on your pets and stuff. I'm gonna try to nuke this guy because there's another one coming. Alright, he's dead now. But as you see, every time I start fighting something, the first thing I do is I try to land the Mallow line of debuff on them where they have a lower resistance, and then I try to slow them. Those two are usually enough to really mess these guys up, where it's easier to land spells. Unfortunately, this guy is a different story. I haven't landed my dot on him at all. It's been resisted, and I tried to cast it twice, and there's just so many times that I'm going to try before I just give up, because you're just wasting mana at that point. And sometimes I like to send the pet in first because it will get the guy's attention, and then the tank will run in and taunt to keep the pet from dying, and I'm able to cast my spells without getting stunned, because these big guys tend to stun me. Let's try using the magic curse here instead. Okay. Unfortunately, this one uses a lot of mana also, but maybe it has a better chance of landing, so I might try that. Let's see which one uses more mana, 659 or poison at 860. Oh wow, yeah. So I'll try using the curse. The curse seems like a good compromise. And I'm just going to sit here and meditate for a little bit because I'm about half into my mana. So here's another thing you can do. There's a spell line for Shaman called Cannibalize, and it would be under conversions. So you right click on your gem, you go under beneficial, you go under conversions, and then here you go to Cannibalize, and you want to use the highest level one. And Cannibalize is one of those things where you want to make sure you have regen cast on yourself, because Cannibalize is like eating yourself. It's pretty much what it sounds like. You take a little bit of damage, you lose some hit points, but you gain some mana. And this is something you usually want to cast on yourself multiple times until you've hurt yourself enough to where you regained a good amount of mana. So I'm standing up to cast it, and then I'm sitting right back down when I'm done. That way I'm also meditating for the most part. And there's also like a AA version of Cannibalize, which I believe might be under class. So here we go. It's called Cannibalization. And I do have 1 point in it, so let me get the hotkey for that, and I'll put it here. And so let's see what this does. Actually, let me wait. Let me cancel that. I'll wait until I need more mana, because right now I'm at 100%. Why am I going to cannibalize myself if I just don't have to? I also have to recast Spirit of Bai Li on everybody on the group. So I'm going to sacrifice the heal over time spell to memorize this. And I call this spell Spirit of Bai Li. Feel free to tell me how you pronounce it. I'm willing to listen to alternate pronunciations. Oh, okay. I don't have the AA ability where my pet gets the group buffs yet, so that sucks. I thought I did. So I'm going to have to memorize Spirit of the Wolf just for my pet, which is kind of funny because the pet is a wolf. It's a spirit wolf, no less. So wouldn't you imagine that they would just have Spirit of the Wolf as sort of an innate ability? I'm just saying. So gonna attack this one. So I'm probably all over the place, I know, because I will start talking about something and my pet is about to die and I don't want that to happen, so let me heal him real quick. But that's what happens. I get kind of interrupted a little bit with things attacking. So the War Wraith is a yellow con, so it's a good idea for me to slow him. All right, and I think I'm gonna dot both of these guys. And you notice the mercenary tank attacks whoever I happen to be targeting. That's because I set myself as main assist, and that one, you know, the mercenary as the tank, and he's doing a great job. I'm really proud of this tank. He is doing a phenomenal job. He's not taking a whole lot of damage. This is what I meant when I said a shaman could do just about anything, even solo, because that slow spell is just that powerful, especially at these higher levels. And this isn't even that high a level. I'm only 62. But again, when I attack something, my go-to is casting Mallow first, and then any of the slow spells, whatever is appropriate for your level, and I send in my pet. And for the record, shaman get their pets, their first pet, at level 32. That's when you get your first pet spell. Before that, you get Befriend Animal. And Befriend Animal is a charm spell. It lets you take control of an animal-based monster like a bear, a wolf, I don't know, just animal-looking things. A tiger, a lion, stuff like that. So let's see here what this other Mallow does, the Canny 5. That's how much mana I have here. Oh, wow. So it's considerably a lot more powerful. You see, it gave me a good chunk of mana, but it also took a visible portion of my health. But luckily, I do have my hit point regen spell also, so that helps a lot. So there's a couple of Death Knights in here, it looks like. So we're gonna hopefully be able to pull them. I guess I'm gonna try taking out this War Wraith first. I want to see if I could just hit him with a slow right away without the debuff. Wow, I got lucky. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you won't need the debuff, but look, he did resist my dot, so I'm gonna have to debuff him if I want to dot him. And it's a risk, you know, because he resisted again. So let's try hitting him with a disease dot instead. Okay, disease took. See, the thing I like about disease is it seems to land more often than some of the other ones. It does less damage, but it just seems more reliable. It also depends on what you're fighting. Different monsters have different resists. I think a lot of undead are resistant to disease. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense. If they're already dead, then yeah, it would make sense that they can be resistant to disease. How are you going to get diseased if you're already dead? How can you have pudding if you don't eat your meat? Sorry. I watched Pink Floyd The Wall for the first time in years, just recently. And I saw it when I was like 19, I think, for the first time. And it was very, it spoke to me. I liked that movie. And it's not, I don't know, I think it could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. But I just enjoyed the ride, honestly. So yes, Shaman magic debuff. Slow, dot, stick them with the pointy end of your spear, you send in your pet, If you can have a mercenary, then have a mercenary. Or if you're in a group, your job would be to slow and debuff your targets, and maybe you wouldn't even be dotting anything, because if you're the only priest in the group, say on a TLP server, you might be expected to be the healer too. So it really all depends. Like if there's an enchanter in the group, they could always potentially be the person to debuff. Sure, enchanters don't really have as powerful a slow as shaman do, but it's almost as good. It's a very close second, and enchanters have the most powerful haste spells. They also get their mana regen, and it's kind of funny because shaman can pretty much do mana regen now too, if they just make a bunch of potions beforehand and pass them out to the party. This shield, okay, it's just nothing. It says it's lore, so I'm guessing it's just quest junk that I don't really need. And of course, this guy resisted the slow. I'll just hit him with a dot instead. And then, okay, I'll try to slow now. I mean, my Merc is doing a fabulous job. I'm shocked. It's just a journeyman Merc. It's a clockwork journeyman. I'll even show you. Journeyman, and I'm just really lucky with this one for some reason. I don't know what that little cork looking thing was. Sometimes I like to hang back and cast my spells instead of coming in here with my weapon, just because it's a little bit risky. Like if there's other things that can aggro. That way, if I'm sort of away from the combat, I'm less likely to start getting hit. Of course, we got aggro again from something else now. But this is pretty much how I play a shaman. If I was outdoors, of course, I would be on a mount, but I'm not outdoors. If I was lower level and didn't have a pet, I could potentially use befriend animal to charm a bear or something like that, and use whatever I charmed as my pet. Although charmed animals and just charm spells in general are always a little bit of a risk, or actually a lot of a risk. Hey, I got an intricate defiant silk robe. Nice. I get robes so rarely that's one of those few items that I never complain about getting, because I have a lot of alts and a lot of them are casters. So yeah, I never... Because I'm sure everybody's heard me like, look, of course I'm getting intricate cloth or intricate this or that, and I'm a chainmail class or a plate class, whatever I happen to be playing at the time. And it does happen a lot where I will get every kind of armor except for the kind that I can use. But in this case, because robes are so uncommon, I'm not complaining. I'm like, hey, awesome, I could hand this to one of my other casters. One of my alts. Very cool. So shaman are healers, debuffers. You know, they're a little bit like DPS too. They can play that role if they have to, because you land these, 3-4 different dots, and or 3 dots, and then you start nuking on top of that. You do a good amount of damage. I'm honestly surprised at how well I did here today. I didn't think this would go so well and go so smoothly. Sure, I had a couple of ads, but I managed them just fine. And you see, some of these are dark blue, some have been white, some have been yellow cons. I think this tank is really helping a lot. So a shaman is a great class to have, even if you want to sort of 2-box. You can have a warrior or maybe a shadow knight. Would be great to be teamed up with a shaman. If you have access to mercenaries, you can make something like a rogue or a berserker or a ranger or a beast lord, and then just have a tank mercenary. Ooh, why am I casting Mallow? I went and tapped the wrong button. I wanted to hit like just button number 1 where I practice begging skill. Oh, I forgot to recast the illusion on my pet. I like this scorpion illusion. I think it's pretty cool looking. Especially it sort of resembles a bug, and I'm a frog. Frogs eat bugs. Ooh, there's a death knight. Awesome. Let's see if my slow lands. And it did. So I've got 2 out of the 5. I don't think I'm going to make the video any much longer. I really sort of wanted this one to be short, but it's probably going to be a good 30 minutes now. Why am I casting? I keep pressing the wrong button. Send in the pet, use Mallow and slow. So at the risk of it getting repetitive, which it already has become, this is how I would play a shaman. Again, at lower levels, at level 25, you get your befriend animal spell, so you can use that instead of summoning a pet. But then at 32, you get your pet spell. Now, the funny thing is, I don't see any other version of Charm Animal after level 32. So I guess they rather you just use your wolf pet. So I find that unusual. So that's it for the video for today. I hope this video helped you. I hope you found it informative. I would recommend playing a shaman for anybody who's new to the game if you've never played before. Again, it's a pretty good self-reliant class. If you have a mercenary, then your viability to solo is really good. It's really high up there. But a shaman with a tank mercenary can take on just about anything, because you've got your mercenary dealing some damage, you've got your wolf pet dealing some damage. One recommendation I would say is, if you have a tank mercenary, or even if you're just grouped with a tank, you want to disable the taunt here on your pet. You don't want your pet to taunt, because that means they're going to be taking some damage, and your pet doesn't have the hit points that a tank mercenary would have. So I would say have taunt off. And if you're pulling mobs, you can always use the guard command to have the pet stay in one place. There's so many different ways to play, but when I'm sort of just crawling through a dungeon, this is how I play. I think my playstyle, if I was outdoors, would be a little bit different than this, but not by a whole lot. Another thing that you might want to do if you're in a dungeon where you have monsters packed closer together, you might want to have root ready, because if you can root something when it starts to run away, then it's less likely to aggro other monsters, because it's unable to run when it's rooted. Again, these are all different strategies you can try. You do you. Play the shaman the way you think it should be played. But I do these videos for people that might be new and they're trying to consider what class they're going to play, and a shaman is a great choice, and they do well in the end game also. They're very popular in groups, and it's like the value of a shaman never goes away. And the cool thing is, you could be a frog shaman or a barbarian shaman, and you could also be a troll, an Ixar, or an ogre shaman. So give the shaman a try. I don't think you'll regret it. Shaman also get the skill alchemy, where they can make potions. And if you're ever on a TLP server, those potions can earn you some decent money. You can make clarity potions and haste potions. Spirit of the Wolf potions are like the cash crop for a shaman early on in the first couple of expansions, because everybody wants to be able to outrun their foes. So I hope this video helped you. I hope you found it informative, or at least entertaining. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated the video, you can give it a thumbs down. If you like what I do here, you want to support me and support the channel, please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. If you want to do one better, you can join the channel as a channel member. Channel members get special perks and privileges, like a link to join our private Discord. Likewise, if you prefer following me and supporting me over on Patreon, there's a link to the Patreon in the description below. Patreon members get the same perks, where you have a link to join our private Discord server. All the Patreon videos are also ad-free. Lastly, if you really liked the video, you can leave a super thanks. A super thanks is like a little mini donation that helps me out and helps me keep the lights on. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and a wonderful tomorrow.